The Christopher Hitchens of American poetry? Question mark. Welcome to Strip Cover Lit, where we squeeze the bigger picture out of literature. I am Adrian Fort, and we are here for another poetry discussion, which will take place in three separate playlists here on the channel. Number one being the verse-by-verse read-along of Song of Myself from Walt Whitman. This is verse 3 from Song of Myself. It will also appear in the Walt Whitman playlist, a playlist of poems from Walt Whitman, as well as the poetry discussion playlist, an ever-growing playlist here on the channel, as I have now posted videos over 400 days in a row, and many of those have been poetry discussions. But we have here today for this video the third verse from Song of Myself, and it reads as such. I have heard what the talkers were talking, the talk of the beginning and the end, but I do not talk of the beginning or the end. There was never any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now, and will never be any more perfection than there is now, nor any more heaven or hell than there is now. Urge and urge and urge, always the procreant of urge of the world. Out of the dimness, opposite equals advance, always substance and increase, always sex, always a knit of identity, always distinction, always a breed of life. To elaborate is no avail, learned and unlearned feel that it is so. Sure is the most certain sure, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, braced in the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical, I, and this mystery, here we stand. Clear and sweet is my soul, and clear and sweet is all that is not my soul. Lack one, lacks both, and the unseen is proved by the seen, till that becomes unseen and receives proof in its turn, showing the best and dividing it from the worst. Age vexes age. Knowing the perfect fitness and equanimity of things, while they discuss, I am silent and go bathe and admire myself. Welcome is every organ and attribute of me and of any man hearty and clean. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile, and none shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I see, dance, laugh, sing, as the hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night and withdraws at the peep of the day and stealthy tread, leaving me baskets covered with white towels swelling the house with their plenty. Shall I postpone my acceptation and realization and scream at my eyes that they turn from gazing after and down the road, and forthwith cipher to show me to assent? Exactly the value of one and exactly the value of two, and which is ahead. Now, some of this seems a bit like gobbledygook if you are just reading it straight through, but I think that the most important part of this is maybe not in the same way that we deliberate on individual words from Emily Dickinson or William Shakespeare, etc. I think that what is most important about this verse from Song of Myself is the deep undercurrent to it. Remember, Walt Whitman is American. Walt Whitman is quintessentially American. Walt Whitman, one of the original quintessential Americans of letters, of, how do you say, of non-document letters, right? This was poetry, not a fiction, but certainly not legal theory either. Much of the early American ethos was of independence. Much of the early American ethos was Protestant, was protest and it was freedom of religion. It was freedom from religion. And in that way, I think that with the quote unquote old world having so many problems rooting from Catholicism, and I don't mean that anything against Catholics, but the Catholic Church certainly exerted its force when and where it could. And if you are Catholic, maybe you think that is for the good. If you are not Catholic, maybe you think that is not. But it's true. Catholic Church was all over the place. Catholic Church was very influential. I think we can all agree on that. There is at maybe the original might be something of an ironic word here, the original assumption that Catholicism for sure, and many other religions and many other Protestant religions too, if we're being coarse about it, one of the original assumptions that Catholicism makes about us was maybe best laid out by Christopher Hitchens. And I thought that this was from someone else. All these years, I've listened to Christopher Hitchens and Christopher Hitchens debates since 2011, I think, which, unfortunate, but unfortunately, 2011, Christopher Hitchens died. So I found him just after his life had ended. But I thought that this was a much older quote than Christopher Hitchens, but it seems, at least by the powers of my searching today, this is originally attributed to Christopher Hitchens. I cannot believe that is so. But I couldn't find a source root for it. Everything that I searched brought me back to Christopher Hitchens. The term, the phrase in Catholicism, we are born sick and commanded to be well. Born sick, commanded to be well. This is original sin. This is birth guilt. Born sick and commanded to be well under punishment of torture, right? If you do not ascend to this hypothetical level of well, guess where you get to spend the rest of eternity? So there is that phrase, which is deeply sort of the one of the underlying assumptions of Catholicism. You were born with original sin. You are born with debt. You are born with guilt. That is one of the original talking points, the foundational talking points of Catholicism, which was more old world than new world, more European than American. We have in this poem, where are they here? Oh, I'm sure this is absolutely scintillating to watch me search this poem. Showing the best and divine. Oh, wait, where are we at? He's laying in the bath and looking at himself and admiring himself and saying everything is welcome here. There will never be any more heaven nor hell than there is now. We have sure as the most certain sure, plumb in the uprights, well entreated, braced in the beams, stout as a horse, affectionate, haughty, electrical. I in this mystery here we stand. The mystery of maybe worthlessness. The mystery of maybe birth guilt. The mystery of maybe original sin. But Walt Whitman is saying here, Welcome is every organ and attribute of me. I think we know what organ he's talking about. And of any man hearty and clean. Not an inch nor a particle of an inch is vile. Not vile. We are human, and shall be less, or shall be none of me shall be less familiar than the rest. I am satisfied. I sing, dance, laugh, sing, and hugging and loving bedfellow sleeps at my side through the night and withdraws at the peep of day with stealthy tread, leaving me baskets covered with white towels. Rah, da, da, da. So what we seem to have here in this verse is an underlying question of whether or not every bit of a person is as valuable as another bit of a person. We have him here calling out sexuality, calling out those parts of the body which might be shunned in some areas of life. We have Walt Whitman here saying, so the original maybe call of this poem is Walt Whitman saying, look, we are living in the here and now. There will never be more heaven nor hell. I have heard them talk about the beginning and the end, but I don't talk about the beginning or the end because all we have is now. There will never be any more inception than there is now, nor any more youth or age than there is now. And there will never be more perfection than there is now, nor any more of heaven and hell than there is now. Walt Whitman in this verse is saying we have to live the human experience because that's what we have. We have now. We have now between the two of us. We have now. We may not have tomorrow. We don't have yesterday anymore. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow may never come. All we have is now, and there's no use to feel this sort of birth guilt, no use to feel this original sin, no use to feel any of this guilt, this less than in our lives. We don't have to have that. We don't have to live that way. We have each other. We have now. We have these moments, and we have no reason not to enjoy them. That is all I have for this poetry discussion. If you like or appreciate what it is that I do on the channel, hitting the like button really does help me out, as it tells YouTube to share this video with other literature lovers. If you find yourself here by chance but not design, literature is the only thing I talk about on this channel, dropping multiple videos every single week. There's poetry every Monday. We're currently going through all of Ernest Hemingway's short stories. We just finished Dubliners by James Joyce, and as always, I hope to have you back for the next one.